All right, let's dive into a deal that could completely change what you watch. We're talking about a true clash of titans here, one that could decide the future of your streaming queue for years to come.
So let's get right into it. The news that is shaking up Hollywood right now is absolutely massive. We're talking about a potential merger that could create a streaming giant bigger than anything we have ever seen before. That's right. I mean, just think about that for a second. The company that basically started by mailing you DVDs is now in exclusive talks to buy, to buy a legend, one of the most iconic studios in Hollywood history.
And make no mistake, this isn't some small purchase. We're talking about what would be the biggest acquisition in Netflix's entire history. This is a massive strategic pivot for a company that, has always preferred to build its empire from the ground up, not just buy its way to the top.
Okay, so what exactly is on the table here? I mean, let's break down the incredible library of content that Netflix would get its hands on if this whole thing goes through.
Wow. I mean, the scale here is it's staggering. You've got the absolute prestige TV of HBO. We're talking The Sopranos, The White Lotus, you name it. Then there's the blockbuster machine of the Warner Bros studios. And on top of all that, you get these massive, globally recognized franchises like Harry Potter and, of course, comfort food classics like Friends. This is a library that has literally defined pop culture for decades.
And get this, just to show you how serious they are, Netflix is apparently willing to put down $5 billion as a breakup fee. That's cash they'll pay Warner Bros. Even if regulators end up blocking the deal. A number that high, that's basically Netflix shouting from the rooftops that they are absolutely dead serious about making this happen.
Now, obviously, a prize this big was never going to be an easy win, right? Netflix wasn't the only one circling. Some of the biggest players in media wanted in on this. So, while you had heavyweights like Paramount and Comcast throwing their hats in the ring, making their own big offers, Netflix has now managed to pull ahead of the pack. They're in what's called an exclusive negotiation window, which basically means it's their deal to lose. But yeah, this was not a clean fight. The bidding process reportedly got pretty ugly, with Paramount's lawyers actually accusing Warner Bros. Of running a tainted auction. They're basically claiming the game was rigged in Netflix's favor from the very beginning.
So you might be asking yourself, why is a deal this massive even happening right now? Well, it's not happening in a vacuum. This is all about these huge, tectonic shifts in the industry that are forcing traditional media giants to make some really, really tough choices.
And really, at the heart of all this is one simple, undeniable fact. Traditional TV is shrinking fast. I mean, we're all cutting the cord, right? And as our eyeballs move over to streaming, the advertising dollars are going right there with them. And that is putting these legacy media companies in a very, very tight spot.
And if you want to see just how harsh that reality is, look at this number. In just one quarter, the revenue for Warner Bros.' cable channels, like TNT and TBS, it dropped by 23%. A free fall like that, well, it forces a company to think about making some pretty radical changes.
Okay, so let's say they sign on the dotted line. That's one thing. But getting the deal approved by the government, that is a whole other challenge. And probably the single biggest hurdle facing this entire acquisition is the inevitable antitrust scrutiny that's going to come from regulators in both the US and in Europe.
And here's the core problem that regulators are going to be looking at. A combined Netflix-Warner would have something like 450 million subscribers around the world. For anyone worried about one company having way too much power, that is a huge red flag. Of course, Netflix is going to counter that. They'll argue that by getting bigger, they can offer better bundles and ultimately lower prices for you, the consumer.
And you can already see the battle lines being drawn. You've got politicians on one side raising red flags about how this could harm consumers. Then you've got Netflix preparing its defense, pointing to massive competitors like YouTube to argue that the market is way bigger than just Hollywood studios. And all the while, you have Paramount sitting on the sidelines, basically saying, hey, our bid would have been much easier for you guys to approve.
Okay, so after all of this corporate drama and regulatory battling, what does it all mean for your movie night? How does this actually affect you?
Well, the big takeaway for all of us is the potential creation of a true super streamer. I mean, just imagine one single subscription that has all the Netflix originals, plus HBO's entire catalog, the entire Harry Potter universe, Friends, so much more. But, and this is a big but, it also raises that critical question. What happens to competition and choice when one single company controls that much of what we watch?
This deal could really be the final domino to fall, kicking off a whole new era of media giants.
So the big question for all of us is, what does that mean for creativity? What does it mean for choice? Are we heading toward a future where one service truly does rule them all?